Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to our regular live webinar in this blessed month of Ramadan. Tonight we have a beautiful guest, Brother Hani Abul Khair, the founder of Islamic Information Center, South Australia, we know as ICSA. So he is kind enough to give us time. Jazakallah khair, brother. And he will be talking, the topic is My Priority in Australia. That is a wonderful topic in this month of Ramadan, I believe. I request Brother Hani, please, Faddal.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. Inshallah, Allah Azza wa Jal will bless us during this month of Ramadan and make us from those who will be forgiven, inshallah. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the hadith mentioned that Jibreel came to him and said to him, he is a loser. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, who is he, O Jibreel? So Jibreel said, the one who will come to Ramadan and will not be forgiven. So may Allah Azza wa Jal make us all from those who will be forgiven. So today I'm going to speak about something that we need always to think about living here in Australia as Muslims. Of course, we are Muslims, Australians. So we are citizens in this country. Still, we have an identity that we cannot close our eyes from. We need to be always remembering this identity, which is coming back to Islam. But how can I match between my identity as a Muslim, my identity as an Australian, and what is my priority in this country? Always as Muslims, we refer back to our role model, which is the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ had a priority in his life, had a goal in his life. So I need to look at his goal and then match this with Australia, with the 21st century, with the environment, with the people surrounding us. How is this going to be understood in this context and in this country that we are living in and in this time? So the Prophet ﷺ, his priority is my priority. So I need to look at his priority, and I can see that the Prophet ﷺ, his whole life was dedicated for one reason, which is for Islam. All of his message was to convey the message of Islam, to deliver it to the maximum number of people. The Prophet ﷺ, once he was sitting with the companions, and he said to them, the like of me and the like of people is like a fire that was lit, and then the insects started coming, throwing themselves in the fire. And you know how when you start fires, any fire, in the night, all the insects will come, be attracted to the light, and they will throw themselves in the fire. So the Prophet ﷺ said, me look like a person who's seeing all of these flies, all of these insects coming to throw themselves in fire, and I just came and tried to grab you, not to throw yourselves in fire. And that was the feeling of the Prophet ﷺ towards everyone in this world. And that should be our feeling. So my priority is the priority of the Prophet ﷺ, which is Islam. But how can I identify Islam in the context of this country and in the context of this time in a way that people will not look at me as he's an alien. He's not from this universe. He's not from this world. He's not from this country. I need to represent Islam in a way that will be attractive to everyone around me. So, for example, depending on my level, where am I in my life? If I am, for example, in the school or in the university, I'm studying, my priority as a Muslim is education. And education needs to tie in nicely in my priority, which is Islam. So Islam is the big priority, the big picture. And then we have things in my life that we need to tie in to this big priority. So for example, if I'm studying at school or studying at the university, my priority is Islam in the university. For example, if I am a university student and all the students are looking at me and seeing that, wow, he's very intelligent. He's always getting HDs. He's always the top student. He's always doing his work on time. He is well-mannered. He is not rude. He is very polite. He is really a gentleman. And at the same time, he's a Muslim. Wow. Why should someone who is a Muslim, we see all of these Muslims on the media with all of these bad manners, with all of this aggression, but how come this is a Muslim? And then me as a student at the university or at the school, showing the perfection of my study, the perfection of my manners, the perfection of my attitude, and the integration with the people around me will make people scratch their head. Is this Islam? Well, Islam was distorted around the world by media. The only way of bringing Islam back to the mind of the people is to show them live examples. So if you are a university student and if you are not doing well in your study, be careful, you are misrepresenting Islam. I remember a couple of years ago, I was teaching in the University of Adelaide, and I had lots of Muslim students coming and studying, and unfortunately, they were average students. And other students were really flourishing and getting all of the HDs, doing their job on time and everything. And then at the end, the Muslim students came to me and asked for a recommendation letter. So I looked at them, I said, you are asking for a recommendation letter, although you are not except an average student. So how come you are representing Islam? In a country like Australia, every second of my life, my priority is to think that I am representing Islam. So every second needs to be without mistakes. So in the university, in the school, I need to be the top student. And if anyone asked me, why are you doing this? I will always refer back to Islam. I will always say that Islam ordered us to seek knowledge. And at the same time, Islam ordered us to perfect our life. Everything in our life needs to be perfect to the maximum that we can. If I am walking in the street, I need to be representing Islam. People will be looking at me. If I am a Muslim, if you are a girl, a Muslim girl, you will be wearing headscarf, definitely you will be identified as Muslims. And you will be looked at under a microscope. If you are, for example, doing something in the street, you are throwing a rubbish here, or you are not doing properly in the street here, they will look at you and they will say, look at the Muslims. Your priority there is actually to represent Islam. So, what to do? You need to be perfecting your life. No, even more. Walking in the street, you saw some rubbish in the street. Of course, the habit here for Australians, no one will pick anyone else's rubbish. So go down, pick the rubbish, put it in the bin. Especially if you are identified by your shape as a Muslim, that's going to be a big message for everyone. If you are working during your work, you must be perfecting your work. You must be precise, coming on time to work, not wasting time, doing your job properly, showing people that I am the best employee that you can employ. And that's why we are going to be representing Islam in the best way. If I am anywhere, I need to understand that my priority here is make myself the example of the Muslim that will be shown to the whole world. Nowadays, da'wah is not by going into the street. In Australia, da'wah is not going to the street and saying to people, come, let me talk to you about Islam. Have you heard about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Have you heard about the Quran? Da'wah is not that. Da'wah in Australia is silent da'wah, especially in your study places, in the school, in the university, in your work, walking in the street. It's all silent da'wah. How? To show the best out of us. And that's all because Islam is asking us to do that. Once I had an interview from one of the government representatives, and they were asking me about Islam and how its effect on the life of the Muslims in the streets, for example. So I said to them, there is a big difference between us as Muslims and everyone else. In regards to, for example, if you look at the streets, we are driving in the street. The light will turn, the traffic light will turn red. Me as a Muslim, I believe that breaking the law of the street is prohibited in Islam. Because, for example, if I cross the red light, that might threaten the life of someone. Plus, this is actually a law of the country that is to manage their life. And in Islam, Islam asks us to actually abide to the law that will manage the life of people. So, for example, I said to them, for me, you don't need a policeman. You don't need a camera by every traffic light to scare me from crossing the red light. Why? Because I always witness Allah Azza wa Jal, because I'm a Muslim. And so I'm not going to cross the red light. I'm not going to park in the wrong place. I'm not going to take the right of anyone in the street. I'm going to give way where I need to give way, and so on. So all of these are not coming because you are scaring me with the fines that I might take and pay. No, because Islam is asking me to be the perfect model of the Muslim living everywhere. I will tell you, for example, my priority as well, to spread da'wah around me in the neighborhood. As an Australian living here amongst the Australians, I might be living in the whole street and there are no other Muslims around me except all Australians, then they all going to see this house is a house of Muslims. So what are they going to do? My priority is to represent Islam. If, for example, I will give you just some examples, how they look at us. They will always watch us. They will always watch our front yard. Is it neat, tidy, clean? Every time we are looking after it, they will say, Muslims are clean and tidy. Am I bringing my bin on the right time, taking it back on the right time, not messing around, not parking in my neighbor's place? Am I giving my neighbor, sometimes, for example, we are now in Ramadan. Am I giving my neighbor something during Ramadan? Giving some dates or making some cakes and say to them, this is a holy month of us as Muslims, so I thought to bring this to you. I will tell you an example. For example, 2 weeks ago, my wife cooked some special dish. So my daughters know that we have lots of elders around us. So they went, they took a plate, they knocked the door, and they gave to the elders some food from the one that we cooked. So the elders, the lady who's 80 plus, 90 plus, the second day came and knocked the door, and I opened to her, and she said to me, look, you know, the other day when you gave us the food, we had a feast on that day. You are amazing. She knows that we are Muslims. What a good message we delivered to them. She said, I made some cake for you, and I know you guys don't eat except halal. Here are the ingredients of that cake. I hope that it is halal. I looked at the ingredients and said they are halal. She said, can you please accept this gift? I said, yes. I do this with almost all the neighbors around me. This gives a good example about the Muslims, because the moment we step in any house and they see the headscarves, and they see even more than the headscarf, sometimes the burqa they see from our wives, they will just stay scared. But we need to open up. My priority is to pass the message of Islam. I will tell you something. If you look at the history, at the time of the pilgrimage of the Prophet ﷺ, which is called the farewell pilgrimage, he did only once pilgrimage. The Prophet ﷺ with him did pilgrimage 120,000 companions. If we look at where were the companions buried, well, we have Al-Baqi' in Medina, and we have a graveyard in Mecca. If you go there and count how many of the companions were buried there, they are counted, maybe hundreds. But we are speaking about 120,000 companions at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. You know where these companions were buried? All of them were buried around the world. Why? Because they have this diamond that is called Islam. They want to show it to everyone around the world. They did not stay at home. They went everywhere around the world, to the extent that the companions, there is a masjid in China that was with the name of the companion, and the companion was there in China during his life. We have one of the companions 40 kilometers from Paris. We have lots of companions buried around the world. That means that they understood that Islam needs to go out, open up. My priority in Australia is to show that Islam. We are here with the blessing of Allah. Why? We don't want to travel anywhere to convey that message of Islam, because everyone is around us. All of these non-Muslims are around us, and it's our duty to show them what is Islam about. Not by speaking to them, just live amongst them with the Islamic manners, perfect your life, and treat them as the Prophet ﷺ, for example, said about how to treat the neighbors. Treat them like that, and see how you are going to make a big change in their understanding of Islam. And that's our priority here in Australia. Our priority is not to fast or to pray, because these are our pillars that we need to do. We will be doing them, we will be perfecting them. But our priority is here. We live here in Australia amongst those who are non-Muslims. You know, it might be the only time that he will be hearing about Islam is from you. Or he will be seeing a Muslim when he is looking at you. Or he will be working with a Muslim when he is working in the company with you. Or he will be studying next to a Muslim when he studies at the university or in the school with you. You might be the only choice for him, or the only chance. And then in the day of judgment, he will be coming and saying, well, I saw so and so in dunya, and he was a Muslim. I knew he was a Muslim, but I saw him doing some weird stuff that did not make sense. So I thought that, oh, if this is the case, then I'm not interested in Islam. And guess what? I will tell you, the majority of the people in Australia, they are not interested in Islam because of the behavior of us. So our priority here in Australia is to show our behavior in our daily life. There is a language of this country and a language of this time. It's not the English language I'm speaking about. I'm speaking about the language of discipline, the language of perfecting our life, the language of being kind and polite and being caring about everyone. That language is the language that will be understood. Add to that the language of science. I really encourage everyone to be on top of his profession. So if you are a chemist, if you are a mathematician, if you are a computer IT guy, or if you are anyone, make sure that you are on top of your profession and show that Muslims are professional people. This is my priority here in Australia. Just remember that we can survive without food and drink. We are surviving now. During Ramadan, we are surviving without food and drink for over 12 hours. That's fine, but we cannot survive without Islam. If Islam is not in our life, we are not living Islam and showing the whole world Islam in our practice, in our science, in our work, in our neighborhood, in my driving the car. Look at my car. And this is always the example that I bring. Look at my car. Is my car clean? Is my car always tidy? If this is the case, I will tell you, you will be surprised that some of the non-Muslims might come, they know your car, they will come and look inside your car. If they see your car is full of rubbish, it's not clean, they will say, these are the Muslims. So what is my priority here is actually to show them that the cleanliness is from Iman. The Prophet ﷺ said that Allahu nadif yuhibbu nadafa. Allah Azza wa Jal is clean and He loves cleanliness. Allahu jameel yuhibbu al-jamal. Allah Azza wa Jal is beautiful, He loves beauty. So when I am living here, I know that my priority is always to show the right image of Islam. Looking around us with all what has the media done to the shape of Islam, and to tell that Islam is a religion of terrorism, Muslims are always breaking the law, Muslims are not disciplining themselves, Muslims. So it's our duty to change that into the new or the right picture of Islam, which is the disciplined, the practicing Muslim, who will be looking as a Muslim. People will know that he is a Muslim, but everyone will look at him and say, wow, he's intelligent. Wow, he's serving the country. Wow, he's helping people. Wow, why is he cleaning the street although it's not his duty? Wow, he's donating here. He's helping this person. He's supporting this. All of this will create the good shape of Islam. And this way, we living here in Australia, our priority is not to make one single mistake, especially in these matters. We need to show the whole world that our religion is asking us to perfect our life and to be disciplined and to be better than anyone else. I've entered lots of houses here of non-Muslims. And Alhamdulillah, I can claim I haven't entered a non-Muslim house that is cleaner than my house. All these houses that I entered, they were not pleasant. I felt, Alhamdulillah, with dignity. I will tell you a story about an imam in the UK. That imam went from point A to point B. He entered into a taxi, and then that taxi was dropping him by the masjid. And when he finished the journey, the imam gave him the money. The taxi driver gave him the change. So the imam looked at the change and saw that there is extra. So he gave him some money, and the return was extra than what he is supposed to get. So the imam thought, it's not that much, but I should return it back. So he took the amount that is extra and gave it back to the driver. And he said to him, sorry, you gave me extra. This is for you. So the taxi driver looked at him and said to him, aren't you the Imam of that masjid? He said, yes, I am. So the taxi driver said to him, you know, I was testing you. I gave you deliberately extra because I want to test who are these Muslims are. And if you took that money and went home, I will never ever be a Muslim in my life. But because of your honesty, I want to be a Muslim because I want to be like you. That Imam collapsed from crying. He was thinking, I would have been the reason for someone not to enter into Islam for taking a couple of cents. This is us living in a country like Australia. We are under the microscope. We need to show what Islam is about, and it's all about our practice, not what we preach and what we speak about. It's what we live in this country. We need to perfect our life. Allah Azza wa Jal ordered us, if we do anything, to perfect it. And that's part of our understanding of Islam. So with this, I would like to conclude that my priority, our priority in Australia is actually to represent Islam in the right way wherever we are. If we are in the shopping, we need to represent Islam in the shopping. We need to be careful when we are walking within the aisles, wherever we are, in Coles, in Woolworths. We give way to people. We make sure we do not disturb them. We make sure to apologize. We make sure to give way to them and not distract them. If I am in my work, I need to make sure that I go on time, leave on time, do my job properly, no, do not smoke around, do not waste time. If I am in the school, in the university, I need to make sure I am the top student. I need to make sure I am someone who integrates with others, who shows them the right way, who really show them the manners. If I am at home, I am the one who will show them how the neighbor needs to deal with his neighbors. I will show them my cleanliness, my tidiness, my organized, my discipline. All of my life need to be perfected, and that's my priority here in Australia, and that's my message to every Muslim around Australia. That's the da'wah that we need to give, and there is nothing better than this da'wah. If we look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, lots of the hadiths that were narrated to us were practical hadith, meaning that the Prophet ﷺ did not say any word. He just practiced something. And then the companions wrote down what he practiced. So that's the model that we want to practice here in Australia. This is our priority. Otherwise, we will face Allah Azza wa Jal and He will question us, what have we done? How did we represent Islam? Islam is a matter of practice, not a talk by mouth. I need to show Islam, not to speak about Islam. Jazakumullah khair. That's my message for tonight. I will open the floor for anyone who wants to ask any question.
Jazakallah khair, our brothers. Very wonderful and motivational talk. I think all our brothers and sisters, in particular our youngsters, will be motivated of these talks and will change their life accordingly. Jazakallah, brother. And one question I can see here, one of our brother asking to you. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. People like us living in Australia are always blamed that we left from Darul Islam, that is our home country, and residing in Darul Kufr. Is this allegation correct? If this is correct, then is there any ways we can correct us now?
Okay, so I will get you back to the story of the migration to Abyssinia. So remember, the Muslims were in Mecca, and in Mecca there was torture. The Prophet ﷺ ordered the Muslims to migrate to Abyssinia. And he said to them, go there is a leader over there that he's just, nobody will be oppressed under him. And he was a Christian. So the Muslims went to Abyssinia and lived there peacefully. And in there, their job was to live in a safe environment, plus to give da'wah. And that's exactly what they have done. So, is it haram to live in a country like this? If we are doing our job as Muslims, no, it's not. If we are losing our identity, meaning that I've seen lots of Muslims, unfortunately, they lost their religion. Their kids are not Muslims anymore. For these people who cannot actually raise their kids with Islamic identity, it's not allowed for them to live in a country like Australia. Why? Because they are losing their religion. But the scholars, they mention that if you are in a country like Australia, where you can practice your religion, nobody will oppress you. You will be in a just rule, which is applied here in Australia. Then there is no haram for living in a country like this. The haram will happen if I lost my identity as a Muslim. If I did not put the effort to raise my kids and to make them as good examples of Muslims, yes, that's when we go into haram. So the answer is not direct answer. It needs to be discussed case by case. The general answer is not haram, so long as we fulfill our duties and represent Islam. We need to pass the message of Islam, then we are going to be safe in the day of judgment, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. We have a couple of questions. I am not sure we can cover this. How can we utilize social media effectively for dawah?
Well, social media is the medium of the time now. So we have to utilize it to the maximum, and we have to do our best to be on top of it. Last time I was with one of the brothers who was opening up for me the statistics about social media and showing me how the graphs are working, how you can actually analyze the posts on social media and know which is more influential, which is not, which to boost, which is not, some statistics. We need to be on top of all of this science. Social media is a science. This science, unfortunately, cannot be taught in the university, because if they created a degree for social media now, in 4 years' time, all social media is going to change. That's why this actual social media is something that we need to learn and be on top of it, and to maximize the way we use it for the service of Islam. We have to be indulging into the deep of social media. Look at the statistics, the analysis, how to make my post influential. What things I need. I know people, they take courses in social media. How to, for example, make the post in a way that it will attract everyone, that people will not just scroll up and don't want to see that post, that people are going to be just keen to see my post, and so I will be influential. We need to learn that skill and to utilize it to the maximum. Yes.
Jazakallah khair. So I'll ask one more questions, and rest of the question, inshallah, will leave. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is it permissible to buy first home from bank?
There's a fatwa for the European Council of Fatwa and Research that for the house to be bought from the bank, the commercial bank, it requires some conditions. And these conditions do not apply for us here in Australia with all of these Islamic financial institutions that we have. So this is the bottom line. The bottom line, we cannot, because we have Islamic finances. So these Islamic finances, they have fatwas that they are Sharia compliant, so we need to abide to that. If we don't have an alternative of an Islamic finance, then I say, according to the fatwa, yes, you can. But because we have Islamic finances, no, you can't.
Jazakallahu khair, Sheikh, for your time, and definitely your speech is very motivational for the youngsters, and may Allah reward you. May Allah reward you for sacrifice your time. Inshallah, we are expecting more and more from your speech. Dear viewers and participants, we are concluding our today's session now. Many thanks and Jazakallah khair for our brothers and sisters who participated. Stay home, stay safe. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.